difference going into this game. We'll see how much more pressure Amber's Britches decides to pick. Um, Definitely wanted to ban out Respect Ban again. Buy Britches in order to ban out the Ravana. Really good into, in my opinion, pretty good into Mercury, especially early game. Out pressures the Mercury. Really good into MILF. Also good into Soul. So definitely by taking that away, they prevent Amaterasu. They prevent the Filthy Oars from matching that early pressure with the Soul pick.
Definitely so, definitely so. As we do see the rest of the bands going out, as we do see the Yamoja going away, the Disco, the Thor, and the Ravana, seeing more, as they understand they still need a jungler over on Filthy Oars and just wanting to take care of some loose ends from
Here with the Horus
Amber's
pickup.
Britches.
What do you think about the Horus pickup?
I absolutely love Horus. I think he is a very, very good support. At least I assume it's support. We still don't quite know with we have not seen um a mid or a possible other solo show up. But definitely a really strong pick, especially into this comp.
As we see the Filthy Oars pick up the Hoonbots, um, especially after that ulti damage nerf, Hoonbots still not the greatest early game, but definitely helps out that early game bleed that you used to see from the Hoonbots just falling behind because of being unable to being keeping up with the enemy jungler. But with that ulti, can potentially find the gank onto duo or solo lane and pick up that early first blood. As we see the Karen pick up by the Filthy Oars. Um,
This definitely is an interesting pickup as it now raises some questions as to who goes where. Does Charon go to solo, or does the Sylvanas go to solo? Um,
Interestingly enough, I do think that it's a Sharon support and Sylvanas solo. Sharon not able to really present much, like cannot clear early, and that's the biggest problem. So we'll just get pushed under tower and doesn't really have a presence until super late game, and that entire laning phase feels really bad. At least with Sylvanas, you have an easier time clearing. Still not good and still gonna get walloped by the Morgan Le Fay, but definitely able to try to match that a little bit better in terms of clear. And I and
Definitely so.
interestingly enough, we see the Persephone pickup. In my opinion, the Persephone is like one of the weaker mages or one of the weaker gods in the game right now, but might lend to whatever playstyle they're trying to look for going into this game too. How do you see the matchups going into this game too?
Uh, Definitely interesting picks. I do like, and it's the support player in me that really values the support as to who goes where and how the game's going to go with, and seeing Horus. Although maybe not the best pickup into a Charon, and of course they did not know that at the time, but definitely a strong pick. The Soul definitely a strong pick for ADC. Um, as much as I hate to say so, I think I do see the um Amber's Bridge picking up the win here.
Um, yeah, the one good thing that Filthy Oars comp does lend is that they have every single one of their characters is reasonably good at burning the beads of the carries on Amber's Britches team. And so it really lends up and opens up either the Sharon or the Hoombot's ult to just ravage the Amber's Britches team comp. Um, they d The one thing that Amber's Britches does have to their disposal is a lot of burst with the Mercury, the Soul with that early pressure, and the Horus rotations. It's just they do kind of like different things, especially with Persephone and Morgan Le Fay, that I'm not entirely sure how well their team fights are going to go out into late game. Um, Especially with Persephone, but that might just set up like the team fights for leading with Persephone ult into a somewhat immobile Filthy Oars team.
Very, very, very immobile. Uh, Especially with the Sylvanas and Hera. I understand Hera does have a bit of a speed boost, or at least Argus gets it with the shield, but but understanding that once the Charon dashes, once the Cherno dashes, once the Humbats jumps, there is no way out.
Right. Um, Yeah, I really think that Amber's Britches does have a significant lead early with that Horus Soul, and then the Mercury is going to be pretty behind, so I don't know about the pressure early from the Mercury, um, especially into a Humbot's level 5, but we'll see how well they can utilize this Soul's early pressure to get their team online, and so that way they can get their more poke-focused team comp um, ahead. It's interesting because the Soul is with the ulti, pretty good at burst, but doesn't have nearly as much burst as, say, an ADC or a traditional mage. So playing off of the Horus damage, likewise with Persephone as well, playing off the Horus CC might be a little bit tough for Amber's Britches. But I do still think that they have potential to snowball with this Mercury pick off of the Soul early pressure. So we'll see how that plays out as we head into game two.
Definitely so, as we are beginning the load-in process here.
See,
Um,
now is the interesting part. I want to see what MZ picks up as the Sylvanas solo. We'll check out the builds. Maybe she goes mannequins and just surprises us all. That would be pretty spicy, but we'll see.
uh, are you on the assist right now? Now try switching. What did I do here?
Okay, so as we head into game two, we were able to see the soul level up into this initial clear. I do think that, or at least I've seen SPL souls try out the one first, and I do think that it is overall better in terms of triple clearing the camps. They are opting for interesting pull, Horus going over or under, but or yeah, oh, should I say over? And they're opting to go for the double camp clear rather than triple. I do think that they're able to triple camp clear with the Horus Soul combo, but I could be wrong. Sylvanas,
Definitely, definitely is a very close call, and we do see the Sylvanas do going over to solo as you did predict. I guess I owe you $5 later.
we were
Um,
discussing it beforehand, so I do have that. I am the coach after all. Um, but yeah, still think that Sylvanas is going to get really out pressured even if they're going a Vamp Shroud. Um, I wonder what she's planning to do with the first item, tier 1 item, but we'll see. Interesting pickup.
definitely is, and it probably will, unfortunately, still go the way of lane.
We see
Oh,
almost a kill pickup onto the Sharon, tanking just so, that's that pressure. Oh my goodness, just so much soul auto attack damage this early into the game. Both of the Filthy Oars players just getting absolutely bonked, for lack of a better term, on that first push. I wonder if that was preventable.
um, probably was, but probably was only in the pick and bans for you to prevent that. But unfortunately, you didn't know that the soul was going to come, and the soul was going to come to play.
Funnily enough, MZ's jungler on the butt does get the buff. Might lose their life, does get the buff and gets out with their life onto the shield camp. Just solos it. I have to say that is on Amber's Britches, just giving that shield camp up for free. If they had rotated in, I feel like they could have cleared that pretty.
Definitely so, definitely so. It is going to be
Oh, maybe getting a pickup onto the Hera in mid lane. Should. Oh, never mind.
this is
Boombox jumps in and is able to stop heal for the Hera.
that that Hera better be saying thank you in so many different languages to that homebots for showing up and saving them there. You see,
Just this Horus soul pressure. The Horus just gets a guaranteed 2-1 onto either of these characters, and then the soul damage with the auto attack this early in the game. It's just uncontestable pressure from the Filthy Oars.
unfortunately, Filthy Oars do have to give up pressure because a soul early is just so just kind of scary with just how much her passive does to just give her more and more power early on.
We are seeing as the build or as the players' levels round out to 5, that this is actually pretty scary potential onto a gank on either solo or duo side with the Hoombot. So we'll see which lane they choose to gank off of this spike. Um,
Definitely so. Boombots does offer just such an immense CC with that ult.
we see the burst damage onto the Morgan Le Fay, not that much. I don't think the two of them really have too much skill potential into each other. Sylvanas with the 8. Oh my gosh,
Oh.
going for the pull, almost gets it. That's exciting. That's the plays that I like to see attempted as Presumi gets the first blood onto Persephone mid, loses their life, but ends up trading. As we see a huge pluck from MZ, I wonder if she's able to get the damage. Ends up walking away. Both of them very low.
Well, almost
They find a
taking.
pickup onto the soul. You have to wonder how that was even possible as the Sharon ult whips as we see the Tide just kind of waltz down the lane. Here we see the Mercury gank onto the duo lane.
Mercury coming in sneakily. I think that's the
Missed
word of the day.
ultimate. It might not even matter.
Will they
Never
get this
mind,
pickup on
it does
Charon?
end up mattering. I feel like they could have, the Mercury could have utilized the abilities in a different order and picked up maybe a double kill. If they had walked in, held the 3 or the dash, as we see a Hoombots and Chernobog gank onto the Mercury. They do find the pickup, huge Horus ult, but does not find it in time. This Hera is humongous with a good rotation in.
Will the Hera?
Never mind, might get picked up by the Persephone in the jungle. Finds himself in a really funky place.
Oh.
What is going on right now? There's just so much happening, so many different engagements. You have to think that these were not planned out, I should say. It just happened
Definitely
in
do
game.
feel bad for a cameraman trying to follow all of these frantically as just there's all these little pop-up fights going around the map.
Opting for the Sylvanas ult trade on cooldown. I do think that the Sylvanas does come up in terms of that ult trade. Just forcing it out and letting it rip.
Soul does still confirm that
Despite the stole pressure early, does find themselves 1 kill behind, and so the Chernobog actually finding themselves up in farm and in level.
that we do see the Mercury pick up his rage. Going to be interesting to see if he's able to utilize that and get the stacks needed.
The clamp clear should be even just about now, and the Amber's Britches do find themselves with a slight lead.
500 gold is 500 gold. That is that
Which may be due to the Morgan Le Fay constantly pushing the Sylvanas underneath the tower. As I do think shield camp pressure has gone more in the favor of the Filthy Oars.
are seeing the
This Mercury is finding themselves out pressured by this Hoombots pick, as I would expect.
very much so, as Mercury needs to just kind of farm, and Hoombats being more just CC oriented. Oh,
missing the ulti in, Hoombots ulti, that is a lot of damage. Chernobog ulti, good call into the engagement. They don't really have much they can get right now, but the Chernobog, having already cleared the last wave, doesn't even miss out on a cent. As we see them rotating, maybe looking for an early Gold Fury or a gank. It looks like they are looking for the gank potential onto this soul. This soul should just be dead to rights. They
not
don't
even
even
being
see
able
it
to
coming.
hear them.
They missed the initial CC. They missed the jump CC. Do hit the Sharon 3. The soul should just be out of here. You can't help but to think that that was a little bit scuffed and they could have played the CC a little bit better. Or patiently. Or path better.
Very much so.
As Try picked up another solo kill onto the Persephone in mid.
Just really shows you the amount of value a Hera has to a.
Oh my goodness, does the Soul with a huge trade into, might even pick up a double kill with this Mercury gank as well, and they do. Really, Amber's Britches really capitalizing off of the Filthy Oilers overstay.
Very much so. So much going on. So hard to talk.
Yeah, I
um,
would definitely be talking about that play and all the overstaying that the Filthy Oilers have done in the coaching session.
oh boy,
Also,
I,
yeah, go ahead.
I hear the frantic the frantic scratching of the notepad of what needs to be talked about next session.
I do think that Amber's Britches, if they played as a unit, they could have maybe scrapped together more of the Filthy Oars farm in their side jungle, but just opting out for the safer play and just getting out. The Hoombot's still very much ahead of this Mercury, but again, Mercury is a scaling god, so they will find themselves doing a lot better towards the mid and late game.
Very much so, very much so. Especially as we see that one stack of on rage.
Yeah, getting that rage stacked early is gonna do wonders. Yeah, pretty standardized builds from both teams. Early pesty pickup, but that's just as the result of being into a Sylvanas, or just a healer in solo lane.
Very much so, and seeing that prophetic on that Horus, which I absolutely love because you want to be in the faces of the enemy.
The one thing that I will say about as they look for the game potential onto the Hoombot's not even expending any, doesn't even have beats to expend. It jumps off the safety. As the Hoombot's does almost find the Mercury pick with the ulti. Horus Sharon just sitting there inside the Persephone ult. They do expend a lot and get nothing from that, unfortunately, except for the Hoombot's ult. On the prophetic Horus, I do think that it is, as we see a solo pickup by Sir Logan onto Yoma, that is the pressure that you'd like to see on a solo pickup, and might even just be able to get the T1 unless there's a rotation. Does not look like there's a rotation, so the Soul will pick up T1, and that's the kind of pressure that.
Very much so, especially as Cherno does seem to lack a little pressure in the early game, and definitely as
Mercury ripping ult early does prevent this kill on the Sylvanas. If they did hit that, they would have been able to get it. Soul, huge damage, able to 2v1. Just tremendous realization, just holding ground. Might even, no, there's not a kill there because the Horus does not have blink, but really good pressure by the Soul. Recognizing that they can take the 2v1 and just taking it.
I will say this Soul is not going home hungry after these fights, just eating them up.
Getting all the jungle farm too onto the Soul. I wonder how early they're planning on ripping a Gold Fury. I do think at this stage of the game, with Soul as big as right as I'm mentioning it, they are ripping Gold Fury with the Soul pick. The thing is, they don't have too much secure onto this buff. Hera caught out and is dead. They just get a free Gold Fury now, or should. As Mercury, kind of low though, as they decide to fall back. They are too low in order to pick up the Gold Fury.
It's very unfortunate seeing that Horus being low, Horus wanting to help, Horus wanting to get a kill here.
The Hoombot's pressure almost nets them a kill, but they do get caught up in Persephone ult, and Sharon able to walk away with their life. I wouldn't be surprised if Amber's Britches immediately goes back and tries to rip the Gold Fury again after this Horus backs. They might just be able to snowball out of control with this Soul pressure.
Very much so. And which point would it be a snowball?
It's just
he is on fire.
Yeah, she is on fire. It might be a fireball for lack of a better term. As we do see the Chernobog ulting in, potentially looking to kill the the horse that's very low, not able to find it. I don't know what this Mercury is doing, just gets insta-burned. Just dashing into 5 people. Might even be able to rip a Gold Fury in return, opting to play it safe. What do you think? They are opting to rip it, as we see the Gold Fury.
Not 100% sure if they should continue this Gold
Not
Fury
entirely
call.
sure either. They are pretty ahead, and it's a 45. I think that they should, or not ahead, but they do have numbers advantage, and they could just look for picks here with the Hera. They are opting for it. Hera with huge damage, picking the Persephone. Mercury ult in, not gonna find much. Yeah, as they just look to retreat. Umbot's good preemptive ulti onto the Merc dash, but not be able to find much. This Soul, huge shutdown if they're able to find it, but she might just be able to 1v5 them. As Filthy Oars find themselves again overstaying, and they all get wiped. The Soul really low, but she might just be able to heal that all back up. What do you think is... Oh, as we hear, as we see a little bit of a stall. Chernobog, no health, no mana, not gonna want to contest it, and there it is. What do you think is Filthy Oars' way back into the game, or do you think that this snowball is just too much?
I definitely think they need to take a step back, understand that the other team is ahead. Just take a step back, take a deep breath, and just farm their way back up some, so that way the lead isn't as like impossibly looking, and just kind of turtle your way back some. Don't be afraid to take fights where you have the number advantage, unless it's against Soul, and just understand that you are waiting more for late game with having 2 Guardians.
Yeah. Camera person, can we please pick up the... Can we please get the gold, total gold on the players right now? Because if we see that, we might just see... Yeah, there it... Or, that was gold per minute. Can we see... Yeah, sure, yeah. That graph, most of the gold is on the Soul, though. So if they are able to pick up a shutdown onto the Soul, they might just be able to claw their way back in. That is their in. There we go, net worth. Most of their gold is onto that Soul and Morgan Le Fay, just as a result of being Morgan Le Fay solo. But if they find the shutdown on the Soul, they could just win the team fight straight up. They're not too far behind, except for that. So that could be their way back in. I wouldn't be surprised if Amber's Britches just rips the Pyromancer. What was that?
20k player damage at like 16-minute mark is very notable. Very good.
That's about what you expect from the Soul in this at this point in the game. Just able to just deliver.
Especially one that's 7-1 and sorry.
Oh, huge knocker by the Hera. Might just be able to find a pickup onto the Morgan Le Fay. Never mind. They opt to fall back. They might get the pick onto the Soul. That's exactly what they need. Miss the CC. This Soul is bobbing and weaving perfectly. Missing the CC. Oh, that is criminal that she's able to get out. There's just too many abilities missed. That would have been a huge shutdown onto the Soul, as they get the Pyromancer and lose not much out of it. They do lose T1. And they pick up the horse. So, T1 and horse, not that bad for a Pyromancer.
Not that bad. Not that bad indeed. I'm sure. I'm sure that Soul is either, depending on who you ask, is either entering Ultra Instinct state, or
out here.
will they do get beats?
Not able to find
Persephone ult.
Yeah, just without any CC up, basically just looking to secure it with the Chernobog 1-2 combo, unable to find it with all their ultis down. That is one thing, really good single-use ultis. Not too much outside of that in terms of CC except for supports obviously, but from that 3 they could not find the kill on the Soul.
Very much so, as we see them looking for this fight here on Beacon.
Interesting early dash him onto the Terran by the Mercury. They should just be able to get this for free with the pressure that they have. They do have Sylvanas rotating early. Huge damage onto the Mercury. As they do find the Mercury pickup, might just find two. Soul just in base. That is exactly what they should be looking for with the numbers advantage. And that Chernobog rotation. They are actually not that far behind, except for that just that Soul is just so far ahead. But with the Soul in base, not able to get too much.
Are they looking for a fire giant here? Is that smart with a Horus looming in the background and a Soul just outside of ISO?
With Ubon and her ults up, they should just look for the full dive. As they look for the full dive onto the Soul, they miss the CC. They are taking a lot of damage from Fire Giant, as Fire Giant does eat away at the Hera. I just think that they should have looked to fight with their numbers advantage, as they find themselves 2 down for basically 3. I take that back, they did find the kill onto the Soul, so that's pretty huge, but we want to see 200 players down, 300 players down maybe, for a Soul. Might be worth the shutdown.
I mean, might be worth the 8 kill bounty that they just gave their entire team, bringing the gold difference very close to each other.
And they're gonna look for a Gold Fury Rip with their numbers advantage. Take that back. They are here way ahead of time over the Gauntlet Oars, so they just might be able to burst it down. We do see that the XP difference is in the Filthy Oars' favor. Again, most of the lead is on the Soul.
Very much so, very much so. Ooh, level 18 at the 20-minute mark, almost looking like they are just a farming jungler, as the
Right. One thing that I will point out is that Soul does kind of fall off into the late game, which is why you need to get that Mercury online as soon as possible. But Mercury finding themselves reasonably behind against the opposition's jungler on the Filthy Oars. We'll see how well they can match with their scaling.
Filthy Oars finding that Pyromancer pickup is gonna help them with their
MZ is just ripping the ult, and it works out. MZ just ripping the ulti onto the Mercury. One could have thought that the Mercury could have dashed out, chooses to dash offensively.
Someone needs to update that Mercury on their stat line, and that they are behind. They do need to farm, as they are falling almost under level to their support.
And again, as Soul goes into the late game, that carry potential from that singular character will be waning. So we'll see how well they shape up into this late game. The longer that the Filthy Oars can stall, the more I feel that this game plays into their favor.
They definitely can see that as that Mercury pickup not working out the best, with them being 1 in 5 right now. As you definitely want to see them just higher up.
What do you think about the Horus pickup onto the Sprint? How high do you value Sprint as an active?
Immensely. Sprint is probably my second most used active right after Shell. Definitely love that Sprout, especially looking at the several picks that are just the several picks that are just very immobile and not able to move out of the way of being rooted in place.
I think it has a lot of potential to work out in terms of the Britch's favor. Personally, I would prefer a different active, but it depends on your playstyle. There's no one way to play this game, and so we find that the sprint pickup could yield really good results, as you are vouching. As we see Sylvanas playing up, just looking to rip the ultis on cooldown, just keeping this Mercury out of the fights. I feel it's actually pretty good just being preemptive with the ults. Otherwise, as a Sylvanas, you're just sitting backline and just waiting for them to engage onto you and then use your ulti as heal.
Very much so, as we do see Soul just tearing apart that Sylvanas.
Yeah, I
Ooh, and we
don't
do
know.
see a Persephone ult there as well.
And we see a
No,
Horus ult. They're devoting a lot to this Sylvanas, as Sylvanas just ends up backing unscathed.
very much so, as we do see Soul sneaking around behind. Or sneakingly behind.
Interesting rip, ulti rips. Not really much follow-up. I don't know how much value those ultis are going to get in that situation. But we'll see as this team fight continues. They are going onto the Hera in mid lane. Forces out the Aegis. They are still looking to engage. I'm thinking they do get the beacon, so it might have just been worth out all the pressure that they were willing to give up. But is it worth using your Aegis onto the Hera? Actually, I'm mistaken. It looked like Hera Aegis, but the Aegis is not down on that character.
Definitely not, as they probably did have shield up for sure, helping them get out. And oh, as we see,
That is Soul ult. Charon just able to row their boat out of dangerous situations.
yes, Michael is rowing his way out of there. As
So
we do see,
the gold advantage is basically null at this point, as Filthy Oars do find themselves somewhat even in terms of farm against Britches. One huge thing is that XP difference, that XP lead, is less and less important because you cannot exceed the level of 20 in Smite game. I don't know if y'all know this. And so the Soul has completely reached her peak into that lead, and they have such a significant XP and level lead on the side that they might just be able to win team fights despite this Soul's tremendous lead in the early game.
very much so. You know, leads don't matter when it comes to late game because, you know, at the end of the day, typically games go long enough that everyone is level 20. And as we do see that Mercury ult,
Double ult, that's such a good ult. And the Hera ult's not able to find the Mercury. They might be able to find the Horus. Late Sharon ult does put the Mercury, but misses the Horus. Huge Sylvanas ult catching out the Horus dash. Really good pickup. They might just be able to heal up and then rip a Fire Giant. Not too much pressure with the Titan just being able to get killed in an instant right there, but they still might be looking for this advantage.
very much so, as
Amber's Bridges does not have too good of a secure, but as they do find the pickup onto the Persephone, that could just be all the difference. Soul does pick up the kill onto the jungler, but it does not end up mattering. They find themselves 3 players down. The ADC and the mid laner GPS should be enough on the Fire Giant, and they might just look to fight again with the Sylvanas. Huge pull into the ulti.
oh my. How much HP does that Mercury have? Because it looked like it has 2, and as it took 2 hits, just completely wipe out his health.
Bursted. It might be risky to pull this at this stage. They might just want to continue the fight and off of the Fire Giant. As the Wolf does find the pick onto the Karen. Might even find the pickup onto the Fire Giant with the snipe kill onto Yoma.
Very, very, very risky, and as it shows to not play in their favor.
Yeah, again, with that numbers advantage, they could have just continued to take the fights. They were only 2 people there, and they decided to keep on tanking the Fire Giant, and it was just enough to kill them. As the Britches do find themselves up in terms of Ward Cryo, they're still engaging the Fire Giant. Never mind, they dropped it. I thought that was a weird rip, but they choose. Hera might be caught out here.
Yeah, Hera.
And is just killed in an instant. Too much lockdown. Sylvanas might be caught out too. Aegis out from Sylvanas.
Will
Out.
why?
Caught out.
Not sure why he would choose to leap into 4 there, but you know, everyone makes their own decisions. We do see the Charon ult coming in
and completely. We'll see you in Asgard, Wave. That Wave is small. fly right by my house. As the Ember's Britches should just find themselves with a free FG. We'll see how much more pressure they try to look for here. We have Mercury charging ult, Force ult inbound. They should just be able to burst the shares. Never mind. Mercury not choosing the same target. Sylvanas going to live here. If they priored the same target, they probably would have found one kill there, but instead, Sylvanas comes out unscathed.
Meanwhile, Cherno looking like he might be split pushing.
Might
Is he
even
going to
look for a
solo?
mid.
Is he?
Yeah, with the crit
risky.
And the Scythe able to out-sustain the Primal Mirror's damage. I do think this is a good call. If the comms were right, they would have calmed down, but there's 5 people in the Soul Link side, and so this is just a free rip for the Chernobog.
Very much so, as it does work for him. We do see Sylvanas showing up, probably trying to give his teammate a heal to help him just get back to tip-top shape.
Yeah. Somewhat of a nothing burger so far from the Ember's Britches. Trading out or losing out on Vulture is pretty not great if you want to play the fire advantage. Not the end of the world. They are looking to get this mid T1, maybe push the T2 before pushing out onto duo side T2.
I would like to point out one small thing, that if you notice, the Mercury's still only with 3 stacks on that rage, which is just doing so much to keep his DPS down.
Versus onto the Skull, might just find the burst. They do find the burst. That's one fire gun down on their biggest carry. Sharon ult, they are looking to push the engagement. Clips the Morgan, the Fate, and the Horus. I don't know how much more they can find here. As the Hubot, never mind, the Hubot freaking catches 3D. That's humongous. As they look to continue to push the engagement. Are they looking to dive? It looks like they are. They can get they might even be able to push the Phoenix here. They are looking pretty healthy. They do have Sylvanas healing.
Very much so. You would almost think that that filthy Oars gear basically was pushed out of the Fire Giant.
Yeah, just completely ignoring the fact that they have fire advantage, just playing up with just better combos, better plays. They might even find themselves a wipe here, and instead, the Filthy Oars find themselves a middle Phoenix. The T2 on the Filthy Oars side stays unkilled.
Such a crazy turn of events.
What would you like to have seen better there in that engagement? How could that have panned out better for the Britches?
I'm not quite sure. Maybe learning to fight together more as we see the Mercury fall again. Just such an interesting pick on his part.
I think, yeah, again, Mercury, very snowbally character, but just could not get it online. I think Hasten Katana, not bad, but definitely would utilize more damage into that build. Maybe
more damage. Maybe even a cloak.
Yeah, for the immense amount of CC. Might have picked up maybe a boomerang. I'm not too familiar with the Mercury build. It's a very funky build. Don't really build that build on any other character except for maybe Serket. But even Serket doesn't build full damage and in that path. You do see Sylvanas picking up huge damage with the preemptive ult and root. They expend so much. That's exactly what they should be looking for in that situation. As we see the fight still pan out, just these preemptive Sylvanas ultis into their players. Mercury might get caught out too. Mercury just barely getting out with the skin of their teeth. This might be a full wipe. This might be game. We'll see how much more they can get here as they push down middle. 40 seconds on death timers. Very close to killing the Persephone. Might just be able to out movement speed. Barely doesn't. And it bounces. The monkey does bounce. And that should be game. That is game. Unfortunately.
just when you think the fight's going one way, it just these filthy oars just not letting anything go, just
Mhm.
kicking and clawing their way back a kill, kicking and clawing their way back a just anything to make sure that they are in the lead.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I was worried about how well Soul would scale into the late game. You see the player damage at 40k damage, just doing an immense amount of damage. She does offer that pressure early game, but does fall off in terms of late game, especially since she gets caught out and bursted so quickly before that the Saporate could go off. And just the rest of the team could not find the farm to match the Filthy Ores farm, despite that Soul being so ahead.
very, very much so. As you look as much of a lead that Soul has, and as Morgan Le Fay has, you still look over at that jungle and you wonder if maybe there was a better pick in mind that would have just helped along, just utilize their
Right.
damage and their CC that they come with.
Right, more setup. The Mercury was trying to set up the ulti setups for the team fights, but just too late and doing it reactively rather than proactively. And unfortunately, they find themselves not able to facilitate in the same way that a Humbot's ult can. Um, and just the huge AoE CC that the Filthy Ores offer just lent to so much combos, and the preemptive Sylvanas ults by MZ just being able to get so many actives and so much damage despite just being a solo Sylvanas.
Very much so, very much so. Um, especially especially seeing that Sylvanas just seemingly suicide to allow his team to just take the lead. Um,
Hmm.
any any closing remarks you want to say? Maybe
I just I just want to say the game 2 looked a lot less clean than the game 1 from the Filthy Ores, but they do find themselves up 2-0 and winning the set.